welcome to Sara Rees, our third artist in residence for the Social Soups project in Villa Bombrini with BizArt. We spoke a bit yesterday about the work you are planning to do here. Would you like to say us a few words about that?
Yeah, sure. So I'm planning to make a short film here in Genoa, and it's the second film in what's planned to be a trilogy, following on from a film that I made in Athens last year. And the film is comprised of photography and found text, and is a psychogeographical exploration of the city. So for my residency, I see this as a short, intense period of research where I can explore the city, walking around the different areas, taking photographs and collecting the images that I will then go back to Wales and make the film.
Okay, and this is the first time you try to work in this way, collect an image and putting it on text from various authors like Benjamin, Smith, Calvino, you say?
Yes.
How did you come to this approach?
Well, as an artist, my practice has always been interested in site-specific, so responding to a particular place. And I'm very interested in political history in relation to the contemporary condition. So previously I had been making installations, but when I went to Athens, I did a period of research there, and I was really using my camera and my notebooks as a way of collecting material. And I didn't know the outcome at that stage of what the final work would be. And then over a period of about a year, I realized that actually the photographs that I was using to kind of take visual notes, that these themselves could be the work. And it was at that point that I developed this, this way of working. And combining the photographs that I'd taken with fragments of text from these authors that you mentioned, Benjamin, Sebald, Calvino, and really using, drawing on Walter Benjamin's thinking around the fragment, citation, and how you can create a narrative or a story through bringing many fragments together. And this was something that Benjamin was very interested in his writing. I think one of his ambitions was to write a book that was entirely from quotations. So in a way, I'm kind of following on from some of his thinking, and also drawing on filmmakers like Chris Marker, Patrick Keeler, Adam Curtis to some degree, people who use this form of photograph and voiceover narration to create a different kind of film, like a film essay, if you like. Yeah.
Okay, so which kind of approach do you have during the narration of the story? You start from a thesis and then you build the image over an idea, or you explore your ideas itself during the process, I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When I made the work in Athens, I didn't have an idea of what I was going to do, and it was really through a process of just gathering materials in my notebook and books that I had read over a period of years, page references that I had noted down. At that point, for no reason other than my own interest. And the same with the photographs. I took the photographs in a very open-ended way without knowing what the end film would be like. So It's a kind of process of shuffling. There isn't a concept or a thesis of the film will begin like this, these are the points that I want to make, these are the ideas, but rather it emerges from a process of playing with the photographs constantly, reordering them. As fragments, really, there is no one order. Fragments are a jumble, you know, like a ruin. There is no specific structure. It doesn't have a logic in that sense. So in some senses, that film or this film that I'm going to make here, the order isn't already set, and in a way it could be in any order. And is really born out of, just this process of continuing to place them in different orders until the relationship between the text and the image finds a juxtaposition that is completely unexpected, but gives rise to a whole new set of meanings that I, as an artist, couldn't have anticipated or planned. So I'm interested in this element of chance, you know, and just putting images and text into a kind of play or a dance with each other and then seeing what emerges.
This is from an aesthetical point of view, but you have a politically position before start to film and the montage and so on. So how do you use the cinematographic language to express your point of view? I mean, how you find the limit between documentation, propaganda, suggestion, all the things you can do with the language?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I mean, yes, absolutely. The work that I'm making is always informed by the political, social context that I find myself in, the contemporary situation, not just as an artist based in the UK, but also the global situation. So a lot of my work, I suppose, in a way, is a critique of or questioning, interrogation of neoliberalism and its assumptions. I'm interested in this form in particular of, it's the first time I've used my voice, and the work that I make here will be the second time. And I'm interested in that as a political tool, what it means to speak these texts, and also something that is a democratic tool. Not everybody, but the majority of people have a voice, have the power of voice. And there's something about embodying, speaking aloud these texts that were written by, for example, Walter Benjamin as a refugee from Nazi Germany during the Second World War. You know, his thesis on the concept of history was one of the final things that he wrote. And it is an essay in a form of fragments. And what I was really struck by, it's a very famous piece of text, and I was very familiar with it. But for the first time I spoke it, and the first time that I spoke it aloud and actually embodied and brought these words into the present moment of a living body, for me, the power of the words, which already is incredible, it kind of amplified it and brought it so much into the present moment. And so this form in particular of using the voice, I find it's a democratic form. It's immediately available to anybody. It is something that anybody can use. And to some degree also the use of the photograph. You know, we're in a contemporary condition where the proliferation of images and the availability of that, you know, cameras now are standard on mobile phones. And again, I'm interested in the kind of democratic, the accessibility of these media, the ability to make an image and to say something, and the role that both of those things have played in the recent history of protest. And also it's transmittability. I mean, I can just send somebody a link to a file and they can immediately see this work. It doesn't matter where they are. It requires access to a certain basic technology. But that is something that's more and more available to people regardless of class. So it's also trying to work with art forms that get outside of a kind of the elitist space of the museum, for example. So it's about its transportability, its accessibility. Yeah, that seems important.
That's a tricky question, good answer. So. You explore the dark side of the capitalism and the markets too, but when we talk about art, we also talk about art market. So
yeah.
What is your relation with the art market?
Well, a difficult one. I mean, I think it's very interesting that in recent years, political art has become almost de rigueur. You know, it's become the kind of art form, whereas not that long before, actually, to engage with political ideas in art was considered sort of rather vulgar and actually not the business of art at all. So I think that's a really interesting shift. But one thing that art seems reluctant to do, although there are artists who do address things, is yes to, you know, the art of politics, if you like, but the politics of art is something that is rarely examined, and how the art world itself plays out and replicates the forms and structures set out by neoliberalism. So yeah, there's a lot of change that needs to happen, but I think that there are also a lot of artists increasingly using strategies that they can bypass the art world as such. So this is what I'm interested in.
So what do you think are the role of an artist, and you're in particular, facing this kind of challenge?
Well, for me, the role of the artist is one who is prepared to, like you say, look at the dark side and to ask the uncomfortable questions and to resist being eaten or consumed by, you know, this kind of all-consuming thing that we're dealing with. And in some ways, yeah, the artist always has to make sure that they maintain a position that is somehow on the periphery or on the edge, or this kind of liminal kind of space or attitude. You can't avoid being part of this kind of system and society, but maybe the artist is one who yeah, is always regarding it, the reality that's presented to them, with suspicion, and looking for the little cracks in this reality that's presented, and then actually really going into that and investigating it. And yeah, I think it's essential somehow to maintain that. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay, so thank you for your time. Have a good day in Genoa, and see you soon with the preview of your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.